Hello and welcome. I've been playing Terratech for a couple of days and messing around with the newer mobile SCU from Venture, trying to figure out how I can most easily pick up spare blocks from destroyed techs and just deal with them, whether it's putting them into SCU or scrapping them on the fly. The first thing I built was this thing. So it's just a modification of a monster truck build I had. 4 mobile SCUs with a big magnet underneath. Some of the problems I encountered with this was simply that you pick up some parts. There's no techs around to destroy. Let's see. Let's just throw a bunch of stuff down. So you come along and you're picking up some parts. What happens is they drop off the magnet and to get sucked into the SCU, and they just sit there for a while. So you can hit B and they'll all drop off and get sucked up fairly quickly. That's about the quickest way to do it. I didn't really like that I had to go into build mode to facilitate faster collection of parts. And I want to just keep going. I don't want to... the point was to try not to stop, right? So, okay. So then I built this thing. And I thought, well, if stuff gets pulled to the magnet, and then it drops off the magnet to get pulled into the SCU, it should fall into this little bin that I've made, and hopefully that would work. Not so much. Maybe a bigger version of this. The bigger blocks just kind of get stuck in around here, and even just the smaller blocks, it didn't work that well. And again, I would hit B, a bunch of stuff would drop off. I mean, some of the parts that were getting marked for SCU storage were still being held up by the blocks held by the magnets, so it just didn't work well. Stuff was getting stuck underneath. It just wasn't good. So then a third design, but that's not with the mobile SCU. I was trying to make some kind of a mobile scrapper. What did I call it? Scrap track. So I went with tracks because it was easier to make it anchored. And I just tore apart a monster truck build I had and threw this together. Let's get rid of this before it drifts away. So I made it so it can anchor easily without messing around with putting blocks together and stuff like that. And it worked okay. The main problem is that these scrappers don't want to pull anything off the magnet because it's on the same tech. So you have to actually pull the magnet off to scrap anything. Now, one benefit that this does have is that once parts are accumulated here, you can unanchor and continue on, and those parts will continue to get siphoned into those scrappers, and it'll continue scrapping and selling as you're on the go. So that part was nice. So for instance, I've just pulled those. Let's go like this. Oh, a couple of those parts didn't make it to the magnet, so they're getting sucked in. But these parts not so much. So I go like this. And they should get pulled in. Alright. And I can carry on, and it continues scrapping them as I go, so that part was nice. Oh, hey, big guy. Ah, he wasn't that big. Oh, he's got mortars. Oh my goodness. Go away. Alright. Did he break anything? I don't think so. Okay, so I'm gonna pick all of this stuff up. I'm going to anchor doesn't really do anything until you pull this off. And a bunch of it gets stacked. Now you can slap that back on and you can carry on. It'll kind of keep doing its thing while you're moving. It'll keep scrapping, so in that sense it's good. They really messed up the tracks. The tracks used to be so much better when I played before. Honestly, the tracks are pretty annoying now. I don't even like using them. I've been trying rigs with monster truck tires, but trying to make a rig that's easily anchored and still have clearance, trying to keep your clearance while having those big monster truck tires doesn't work all that well. So this is the tech I've been using, and honestly it would probably work just as well if I had the magnet on the back, maybe even better, with 2 or 4 of those mobile SCUs right at the back. Again, hitting B just so that everything drops off the magnet and gets sucked into the SCUs faster. So I might do something like that later. So because I find it easier to just send parts to SCU with these mobile SCUs or with my defense towers, what I did was I built a big scrapping tech. So this is what I came up with. It took a bit of tweaking to get it to work really well. I just spawned it in. Where's my pacemaker? There it is. So depending on what faction you want to be scrapping with, or really you can mix these up too and do different factions at the same time. Any unrefined resources get refined. I've got 6 separate lines, and the only common point of exit here is for the 4 resources that I'm still collecting bricks on. Everything else is filtered out and sold in these cannons over here. Okay, so I've set up my fabricators there, and this works pretty well. It goes through parts like mad. I obviously have too many of those. Let's scrap some. Alright, so as you can see, it's pretty free flowing. I've got some silos here just as a buffer in case stuff gets blocked. I have a bypass over here in case the main bottom lines get plugged up. It can come around back and feed into this first line here. This seems to work pretty slick. I've done a number of modifications. I didn't have this race part with these cannons before. I had individual cannons on each set of filters, but one delivery cannon cannot keep up to a steady stream, so I ended up modifying it. I ended up with actually less cannons, I believe, than I had before, and it works much more efficiently. So I forget how many blocks I threw in here, but they're getting whittled down pretty quickly. I've actually already scrapped a lot of stuff, so a lot of these numbers here are not really indicative of how much I had. I was at $6 million before I started scrapping, so maybe that'll give you an idea. I've gained about 15 million. So I've also got a set of filters at the end to filter components. Of course, as I stated before, the raw resource filters, and then a set of filters for each individual resource. So if I wanted to modify this to brick more of a particular resource, it's not that hard. I had the fabricators just over here, but they were too close to these magnets, so sometimes it would pull the bricks I just made over to these magnets, so I just put them over here to be a little more manageable. I'm curious to see if this is going to handle a steady stream of components very well. I'll scratch some more high-end parts and see what happens. Let's see, let's try these after these clear out. Okay, what does this give again? Let's just try. There we go, full components. Alright. Let's see, how's it doing? Looks like we're getting maybe a little hung up. If anything comes out the side here, we'll know that I'm not operating completely efficiently. Okay, there are some parts coming through here. Could probably use one more set of cannons at the end. Oh, I've reached the limit. Well, that's as long as you can have a tech. And maybe I could modify it, you know, later. I could squeeze a little bit of room out of here. Still not too bad. I'm fairly happy with how it came out. It took a while to put this thing together, and it needed a few tweaks. There were some things with it that were holding up the line, and I just wanted it to work about as fast as possible. Of course, I can put resource bricks that I've found or purchased. Sometimes I purchase the ones that I'm short on, such as these. I probably will get jammed up here somewhat as we're going single file into these fabricators. That's really the biggest bottleneck of this design. So anyhow, that's my mega scrapper and my progress so far with the best and fastest way to pick up scrap parts, blocks from techs that I destroy. Thanks for watching, and you have a good one.